Hi third graders, I wanted to go over lesson 1 of module 12. You just started the first lesson today of module 12, so I'm super excited. This is all about time, and so this is a really exciting lesson. So I'm gonna make these videos for every single math lesson. Last week, I think you guys did a good job going through the perimeter chapter. I know it was tricky. I know we did it in class together before, but it's always hard, like trying to learn on your own. And so I'm gonna do a lesson each day and give it to you or send out the link to you as soon as possible so that you can follow along with me. So yeah. So if you already did lesson 1, that is totally okay. Grab your workbook anyways and follow along with me just to make sure that we're crushing it. So I am on page 327 in our math workbook, and we're starting lesson 1. And it is tell and write time to the minute. Okay, so the I can statement, the blue bubble says, I can tell and write time to the nearest minute. So what do we think that means? Well, I can look at a clock, I can understand what it says, and I can identify the time to the minute. So in 2nd grade and as a review in 3rd grade with calendar math, we've done a lot to the half hour or to the hour. And so now we're going a step further and we're saying, okay, we want to tell time to the very minute, those tiny little notches in between the big numbers. So really quickly, let's look at this cute clock. We know that the shorthand is the hour hand, and that comes first if we write out the time, the hour comes first. And the longhand is the minute hand, and that will come after the dot dot. That will show the minutes. So right now, this says it is 12:40 because I'm in the 12 o'clock hour. Now, that's easy peasy, but if it was to the minute, somewhere like this poor little guy's a little broken. Something a little bit trickier, okay, that's not as easy to tell. So we have to know, okay, this is 40. Each of these notches is worth 1, so it'd be 41, 42. We'll just leave it at 42. So it'd be 12:42. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in today's lesson. All right, the spark your learning. A movie is scheduled to start at 2:30, but it will now start 5 minutes later. At what time will the movie start? Show the time that the movie will start. So I'm looking for the question, at what time will the movie start? That's what I'm trying to find. Okay, remember from class? What do I need to find? What information am I going to use? I'm going to use that it's supposed to start at 2:30, but now it's going to start 5 minutes later. Okay, so if I were to figure out what time will the movie start now, I am going to draw my hour hand to the 2. Now, it's not going to be exactly at the 2 because the minute is 30 minutes. So that's halfway or half past 2, which means I'm halfway to 3 o'clock. So my hour hand is going to be a little bit in between. See that? Now, my minute hand is going to go straight down to the 6 because that's 2:30. We know that at the 3 is our 15-minute mark, 6 is our 30-minute mark, 9 is our 45-minute mark, and 12 is, of course, an hour. So those are kind of, I call them our anchor numbers because we anchor ourselves there to figure out where we're going next. So that's when it was supposed to start, but it will now start 5 minutes later. So I could go and count 5 notches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now the minute hand is pointing at the 7. Is it 2:37? No, the 7 represents the hours, remember? So this 5 minutes If it was 30, now it's 35. So the movie will start at 2:35. Got that? All right. The turn and talk says, how is the time shown on the clock above different from the time shown on a digital clock? So a digital clock is what we see on, an alarm clock or on our phones, on our watches. Well, some watches are the analog clock. So this is an analog clock where it has the minute and hour hands and the numbers. So instead of having it digitally, like straight across, we have an analog clock. All right, next page where it says build understanding. Number 1, Jose sees the clock when his class arrives at the fire department for a field trip. Find the time shown on the clock. What does the hour hand show you? So now I'm looking at this clock, and the hour hand is the shorter hand, remember? So I'm looking, okay, it's not directly at the 9, but it's not to the 10 yet, which means I'm in the 9 o'clock hour because I haven't gotten to 10 yet. So it says, think, between what two numbers is the hour hand pointing? What two numbers? It is pointing in between, it is in between 9 and 10. So that's what I would kind of write down in my little think box. So what does the hour hand show you? It shows that we are in the 9 o'clock hour. In the 9 o'clock hour. Okay, can you see it? Now it says, how can you count the minutes on the clock? Now we have practiced in calendar math, we have practiced the little bubbles where these numbers that show our hours, that jump is worth 5 minutes. So we just do, 5, another jump would be 5 again. So 5, 10, 15. Now the minute hand is not quite at the 15. It's one notch above. So I'm thinking, it's not 15 yet, it's 1 before 15. What is 1 before 15? That would be 14. So how can you count the minutes on the clock? Well, what did I do first? First, I counted by 5s to get as close as I could get. So that's what I would write down. Count by 5s to get as close as I can to where the minute hand is. Then, once I got there, I would count backwards or forwards. So if I stopped at 2 instead of 3, I did 5, 10. I would count by 1s, 11, 12, 13, 14. Or I could do what I did originally and go 5, 10, 15 and count backwards 1. Think of the clock as a number line, right? Just in a circle. So when we do our steps on a number line, we do the same thing on a clock. So what time does the clock show? We're in the 9 o'clock hour, and I counted to 14 minutes. So it's 9:14. What numbers can you write on the digital clock to show the time the class arrives? Again, I would just take this, what I wrote, and I would put that in the digital clock. Some clocks there might be a 0 in front of the 9. Some clocks there's not. Part E says, what are 2 ways you can read the time? 9:14 right? 9:14 or 14 minutes after 9. So I'm sure you've heard teachers say like, oh, it's 10:15 or it's midnight. I don't know what midnight was the first thing I came up with. I feel like that's a night games game. Like midnight. When I was little, I would play in night games in the cul-de-sac. Anyways, It's a Miss Lowenquist tangent moment for you. Feels like we're back in the classroom, right? I get on my tangents a little bit. But yeah, anyways, so those are just different expressions to tell time. So half past would be half an hour past, whatever it was, so it would be 30 minutes. Quarter till would be 15 minutes until the next hour. So if it was a quarter till 10, it would be 9:45. Quarter past 7 would be 7:15. Now the clock, the reason why we're saying quarter is because our clock is divided up into fourths. So remember how I said that we could use 15 and 30 and 45 as our anchors? That's because those are our quarters. So I'm drawing on the clock. It'll wipe off, don't worry. So ignore the hands for a moment and look how I divided our clock into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty sure I've done this for you guys before in class. But as a review, these are our 4 quarters on a clock. So we say a quarter past. That is 1 quarter past the hour. So we're at the 15. Half past is halfway through the clock. A quarter till means we have 1 quarter left until the next hour. Okay? So it's all coming back to you now. I love that. I love when we can make connections from what we've already done. It's like, oh yeah, we did that before. I totally got it. Okay. I know I'm kind of blazing through this really fast and I'm going on a lot of tangents, so just hang in there. I'm on page 329, number 2 in our Step It Out. It says, Liz looks at this digital clock during a tour of the post office. What time does the clock show? Show the time on the analog clock. So on this digital clock, it says 1:47. Remember, this first part is our hour, and the second part is our minutes. Just how we talk when we talk about time, we say the hour first, right? Hour, minute. Oh, you know what? We skipped our connect to vocabulary. Back on page 328, in our connect to vocabulary box, it's just a minute. A minute is a unit used to measure short amounts of time. In 1 minute, the minute hand moves from one mark to the next on the analog clock. So we know a minute is 60 seconds. So it takes 60 seconds for the clock to go from this little tick to that one. 60 seconds. Bam. Okay, that's a minute. Okay. Show the time on the analog clock. Now, before we just start drawing things, we want to think about this logically. Yes, we're at the 1 o'clock, we're in the 1 o'clock hour, but look at our minutes. 47 minutes. We are almost to 2 o'clock. So before I start drawing, I want to think about this logically. Okay, so I'm not going to draw the hour hand pointing straight to the 1 because I'm almost at 2 o'clock. So I'm going to draw the hour hand kind of close to the 2 o'clock, but not to the 2 o'clock. So I still know that it's in the 1 o'clock hour. Okay, so then 47. Well, which anchor would I use for 47? Would I use the anchor 15, 30, 45, or 60? Probably going to use 45. So 45 is at the 9, so this I know is 45. Now I'm counting up to 47. What is the difference between 45 and 47? 2. So I'm counting up 2 ticks. 45, 46, 47. Or 45, 1 tick, 2 tick. That's 47. So then I'm going to draw my minute hand as best I can, pointing to 47. Okay? See how my hour hand is shorter than my minute hand? We want to just do the best that we can. write the hour. The hour is 1. We're in the 1 o'clock hour. How many minutes after the hour does the minute hand show? Count on by 5s and then by 1s. Okay, so we kind of skipped this step because that's what we do, right? Sometimes in math class we just kind of get ahead of ourselves. So let's do what it asks us to do and count by 5s. We found our anchor, which is a really great strategy. Another great strategy is to count by 5s like we've done for calendar math. So we go from 12 to 1, that's 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Then it says to count by 1s, 46, 47. And then we're there. Count on by 5s and then by 1s. So it wants us to write it down. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 46, 47. How many minutes after 1? 47 minutes after 1 hour, 1 o'clock. How many minutes before the hour does the minute hand show? Count by 5s and then by 1s in the opposite direction. So basically it's saying, how much time do we have left until the next hour? Well, let's go in the opposite direction. 5, 10, now let's count by 1s. 11, 12, 13 minutes. Oh, and what's this case? So 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we are 13 minutes before 2 o'clock, because we're in the 1 o'clock hour, which means we're 13 minutes before 2 o'clock. So basically, when we are working with time, we have to be flexible in our counting. Yes, we're counting by 5s, but we have to be flexible and know when to start counting by 1s. Or we use our anchors, or we count backwards. So we have to be a little bit flexible and we can't get too stuck in one way of thinking. Let's see, the turn and talk says, why are the hours allowed to be different for telling the same time? This is a thinker. Why are the hours allowed to be different for telling the same time? So we said the clock is showing 47 minutes after 1. Is that true? Yes, because it's 1:47. We also said it's 13 minutes before 2 o'clock. So we're using different hours to describe the same time. Why do you think that is? Well, one way we're counting forward, and the other way we're counting backward. We're counting from the next hour, which is 2 o'clock. We're saying, okay, this is 2 o'clock. It's not 2 o'clock yet. It is 5, 10, 11, 12, 13 minutes until 2 o'clock. That's a thinker. Okay, now for the check understanding. The time that a tour begins at a television news station is shown. At what time does the tour begin? So again, we're looking at our clock. We are in the 7 o'clock hour because it's not quite to the 8 yet, and it's not anywhere before 7, and so we're in the 7 o'clock hour. So I'm gonna count, I know I'm gonna be at 7 o'clock hour. I'm gonna start up here, and I'm gonna count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, and I'm one more past 20. So 20 plus 1 is 21. So the tour started at 7:21. Another way I could have solved this is by using my anchor, 3, which is a quarter past, which is 15 minutes. Then I could have said 15 to the 4 is 20, right? That's 5. 5 plus 15 is 20, and then plus 1 more minute is 21 minutes. Okay, On your own. Critique reasoning. Mitch says the clock shows that the time is 9:46. Explain why you agree or disagree with Mitch. Oh, this one's a tricky one. Okay, so he says it's 9:46. Now, I'm not convinced. I think what Mitch did, I'm not sure what Mitch did. I was going to say he mixed up the hour hand and the minute hand, but it doesn't look like that. We know we're in the 9 o'clock hour because the hour hand is the shorter hand and it's not to the 10 yet. So we know that we're in the 9 o'clock hour. Now, if we use our anchor, this is 45. He says it's 46. 46 is past 45, but is the minute hand pointing past 45? No, it's not. So we need to count the other way. We need to count backwards. So we do 45, 44, 43, 42, 41. So it's really 9:41. So we would disagree with Mitch because he probably just counted by fives incorrectly and then added 1. So he probably thought that this was 45 and then the next one was 46. So he probably just counted by fives incorrectly. All right, number 3. Show the time 4:52 on the clock. Then write the same time as after the hour and before the hour. All right, so 4:52. My hour hand is going to be in the 4 o'clock hour, but look at the minutes. 52, gosh, that's really close to the next hour. So I'm going to be almost to the 5. Okay, but not quite. Still in the 4 o'clock hour. My minute hand is pointing to 52. I'm going to use my anchor. I know that's 45. 45, 5 more is 50. So then I'm going to count 2, 51, 52. So now my minute hand, my long minute hand, is pointing to the 52. Blank minutes after blank. How many minutes after? We are 52 minutes after 4 o'clock. And how many minutes before the next hour? Well, let's count backwards. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 minutes before 5 o'clock. Write the time shown on the clock, then write the time as after the hour or before the hour. Okay, so same thing. Here we are. Gosh, this one's a tricky one. I hope you didn't get tricked. We're in the 7 o'clock hour. It looks like it's 8 o'clock, but look at where the minute hand is. The minute hand is really close to the 12 to the next hour, so that's how it's going to trick you. So, not tricked. It's in 7 o'clock hour. I'm going to use my anchor. This is 45, 50, 55. Then I'm going to count by ones. 56, 57, 58. That's so close. So then I would say 58 minutes after 7 o'clock. And how many minutes until 8? 2, because I'm counting backwards. 1, 2. 2 minutes before 8. Okay, number 5, same thing. We're in the 5 o'clock hour. We just started it. I'm going to count by fives and then by ones. 5, 6, 7. So I know I'm in the 5 o'clock hour, and the minutes is 7. So I'll write 7 minutes after 5 o'clock. And then, oh boy, lots of minutes before the next hour. I'm going to count this way. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53. 53 minutes before 6 o'clock. All right, do I understand how to tell time to the nearest minute? Explain. Yes, I know we can count by fives and then again by ones. I know we can use our anchors, the 15, 30, 45. Another thing that I wanted to point out was this. If I know that there are 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour, 58 is going to be how many minutes to the next hour? Basically what I'm saying is, how far away is 58 to 60? Because that's the hour. 58 to 60, that's 2 minutes. Is that what we got as the answer? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see if it works again. 52 and 8. Well, 52 minutes after 4 o'clock, the next hour would be 60 minutes. What's the difference between 52 and 60? 8. Okay, so we know that that is a strategy, right? 60 minutes in an hour. So I can use that to think back and forth. Remember, when we're talking about time, when we're talking about using a clock, think of the clock as a number line that's going in a circle. That will help also just be flexible in your counting, be flexible in your thinking, and just think about it logically, right? If the minute hand was pointing all the way over here, am I gonna say, oh, it's 9:45? That doesn't make sense because the minute hand is so small. It's gone not that far, right? Past the hour. If it's over here, I'm gonna say, oh, that is 2 o'clock. No, not at o'clock yet. So just try to think about it logically, and just try to be flexible, like I've said. I hope this was helpful. We'll see how this goes. We're just trying lots of different things with all this craziness going on. So just hang in there. Thank you so much. Talk to you later.